بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
But what sparked that desire to change and make that kind of pilgrimage to leave Maryland all together? And I even visited you when you got hospitalized. Would you care to even share a little bit about why? If not, obviously it's fine.
Well, it was just the for the hospitalization incident. It was a sale gone wrong. Someone set me up, robbed me, hit me with a gun in the back of my head and the top of my head, and ended up with 13 staples and having to relearn how to walk. But the turn was one of my what I considered right hand man turned on me and broke. And I know it was him that had something to do with people breaking into my house because no one's ever been there before. So there was a situation where he got locked up and I helped bail him out, and his parents wouldn't let him go back to his house. So I let him stay the night, and then it happened a week after. So in that situation, when you're in the streets and you got the retaliation aspect of it, and with that, I had a gun. And when my house got broke into, I took my wife at the time. We went to my parents' house, and I hid the gun under the couch, and they lifted the couch has a little recliner thing. So when they lifted the couch up, my mom found it. I had it wrapped in like a turban. My mom found it, pulled it out, gave it to my dad. My dad got rid of it in a bag of concrete, put it in a bag of concrete and got rid of it. So now that that was removed from the situation of how I was thinking, your thinking changes when you don't have a gun as opposed to when you do have a gun. So when I didn't have the gun, it was like, man, what am I going to do now? Because it was only one solution, like on retaliation. And my dad told me, he was like, "Yo, you should move. You should just move." And and I told him I would move if he put like a alarm system on the house because I was super paranoid at the time. So I was like, "You put an alarm system on your house and I'll move." So he put an alarm system and I up and left overnight. I just went packed all my stuff in the U-Haul. I told some people I'm going to New York. I told some people I'm going to Florida. I just moved, went straight to Georgia. My ex-wife's uncle had a barber shop, so I started there at that barber shop, then worked at another shop, then opened my own shop. Alhamdulillah. So the very first year or two in Georgia was definitely a challenge. Had my first son. I moved when I was like 21 or 22. 33 now. Yeah, so I was 21 when I moved. So that's what happens when you're not doing good, and Allah sends you reminders here and there to bring you back to Him. You rather get your punishment in this life than in the next life.
Yeah. Knowing your father personally, he's mashallah a brilliant man, and your mother likewise. What now that you look back at kind of being in the streets of PG County and stuff, even though you come from a very high class family, uh, what made you go down that route? Because usually, people who end up on the streets are those who come from families that are lower class for the most part. But you don't come from a family like that at all.
I mean, mashallah, my family expanded, evolved over the years as well. Like, there were times where me and my mom and my brother would walk to the grocery store and turn in the cans for change. And we didn't always live in Maryland. It's a whole other life before Maryland. Maryland is right when they kind of got middle class. So the strictness that they had is what made me retaliate. And it was just it wasn't a good place for me. Like, home wasn't a good place for me to be at. Egyptian fathers, how they get down. Like, we got the whoopings, like serious whoopings. I moved out when I was 17. So when I moved out at 17, I had to fend for myself. So I did what I had to do in order to do that.
And now that you yourself are a father and a parent, what kind of lessons did you learn about how to raise a young Muslim in a society that doesn't necessarily support the beliefs that you're trying to instill in them?
Yeah, so there's good that I learned, and like, of course there's things that trickle down from them to me. Like, I'm considered strict father, you know what I mean? I'm considered strict parent because I'm so hard on them about, their school and their homework and studying and education, just like how my parents were hard on me about. But at the same time, they have a lot more freedom, and I'm a lot more active in their lives than what I experienced. So yeah, like I try to be super active with them, play video games with them, sports with them, take them different places, and at the same time take them to the masjid, take them, Ramadan, iftar, tarwiyah, Jummah when they're not in school. And my son, alhamdulillah, he goes to a Muslim school. He's been going since first grade. He's in middle school now, starting sixth grade, man.
MashaAllah. Wow.
Yeah,
MashaAllah. I remember when he was born.
yeah,
Okay, so you left and everything, went to Atlanta, but you didn't necessarily have to become close to Allah. You don't have to turn back to Islam. You don't have to do anything. Even secular success would have been sufficing for in a lot of people's eyes, leaving the lifestyle you lived. So what made you turn to Allah in the first place? Or did you turn to Allah before you left?
because a lot of, I mean, to me, when I moved, it was more so for my life, to change my life around. And I wanted to before, like I tried to before to quit, and it didn't work for me being here. And to me, that shows the importance of the pilgrimage, leaving your environment to start new, start fresh.
Absolutely. Like the
Yeah,
Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Anta ala dini khalilik." You are on the religion of your friend. Uh, and so many advices, secular
yeah,
advices are the same.
yeah.
Reflecting back on all this, man, like, what is one thing that you come out of this with, or because what you really did was the embodiment of "Inna ma'ya Rabbi sayahdeen." My Lord is with me and He will guide me. Right, I'm gonna take this path, even though it's so difficult mentally, psychologically, physically, emotionally. But my Lord is with me and He will guide me. So,
Yeah.
what's your reflections on your life so far, man?
I'm thankful for everything, the good and the bad. I'm thankful for it all because I wouldn't have what I have today if it wasn't for it. Like if I didn't mess up all the times I messed up, it wouldn't have pushed me to move to Georgia. And moving to Georgia was the biggest blessing I had. I never imagined having my own barbershop in Maryland. Like I didn't even think that. But when I got to Georgia, first 6 months, I was working on getting a barbershop. I wasn't even there full two full years before I got my own barbershop, my first barbershop. So if and then now the wife that I have, I had to go through the different relationships to end me in different places, to meet who I have now, and I'm very thankful for her. So I had to go through the marriages and divorces. I had, and I'm thankful for all my kids. They're each a blessing. And none of that would have happened if I never made that move, but it took me going through all those trials and tribulations in order to make that move. And
Yes.
and there's nothing I would change.
Yeah.
I'm done.